Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Obviously in Warzone, there's a few different skill sets you want to have if you want to be a top tier player. You got to be able to master all the recoil patterns in the game for various different weapons. You got to be good at movement with slide canceling and B hopping. You got to be able to consistently aim over range, no bullet drop, bullet velocity and whatnot. But there, at least in my opinion, is one particular skill or thing you want to force into your gameplay that is going to be the biggest deciding factor in whether you win or lose a gunfight. And that, my friends, is centering. So many times you can see if a player is consistently going to win gunfights if they are good at centering. If they can consistently keep their crosshairs in the right place pre-fight, it doesn't matter if they might be the lower skilled player in a gunfight. If you got your sights in the right place, if you got your crosshair in the right place, it's going to be infinitely easier to win fights. So today I wanted to break down exactly what you want to do in your gameplay to sort of perfect this and what you want to avoid as well. As we go through it all, if you enjoy the video at any point, let me know by dropping a like on it. And if you're new to the channel or if you have not already subscribed, every day I got you covered with all things going on in COD. So feel free to hit that sub button and turn on those post notifications. This very well may be my first time ever loading into this training thing, but it's a good place to display what exactly we're talking about here today. So we got to run through this first part here where it explains how to use the game and all the controls here. Let's jump, crouch, sprint, hold, prone. Yeah, I'm speed running it. What's it to you? So when it comes to centering, the first mistake that so many players make is simply focusing too much on the ground. And I get why players do this. It's because of the way that loot works in Warzone. So as we walk into this first building, this is exactly what a gameplay scenario would be, where you have a chest here. A lot of players will know that if they're running into a building like this, there's going to be a chest sometimes in a corner. It might be up on one of these. It might be on the ground like this one is. So when a player is entering a building here, they're probably going to be opening the door and looking like this for the chests on the ground. Right now, if Solange here was an enemy and I'm looking at the ground when I walk into this room, clearly you're going to have an issue because that player is going to be ready and focused on a door. You're going to have to transition your aim from the ground. She's yelling at me. You're going to have to transition your aim from the ground up to that player. And that time, while it is minuscule in the grand scheme of things, is huge in a one-on-one gunfight, which is over in, half a second. But we go through, we open the chest right now. Of course, you're going to have to look down at the ground to grab all the loot. When you're doing that though, when you're picking all that up, a lot of players don't end up transitioning their aim back up like they need to. The proper way to do that when you're looting, obviously you want to grab everything, get off the ground, and then you're back up centered, right? Obviously the term is centering. So many players, especially newer ones, this is a lot of the reason that they lose their early gunfights is because they grab all the loot off the ground and they keep walking like this, looking for the next thing to loot. Maybe there's a chest in this corner. Maybe there's a chest in this corner. They're keeping their sights on the ground. Now, this is a perfect example when I come in here because we have these targets. Let's say you're waiting for loot. You see a chest in this corner. You see a chest in that corner, but you can't see anything that's around this side. You stroll in with your aim like this, and you got to move your aim a ton to get back onto center mass. Now, the thing is, if you're centered, when you're strolling, you'll notice a lot of the top players, when they're looting, they're grabbing their stuff off the ground here. They're back up at this level because all players are going to be at this level. When I turn the corner here, I'm looking right at chest level there, which is obviously one of the crucial body parts you want to hurt between the chest, neck, and head. So when you're looking down at the ground, while this might not seem like a ton of movement there, because the TTK is so fast in this game, that's a huge difference in if this person's already centered and ready looking at you, you're going to be in trouble there. So when you come in centered, you're already chest level, easy shots, right? When you come in not centered, looking at a chest, let's say if it's in that corner, there's a player, suddenly you got to move all the way over and then fight. That's a lot of time in a one-on-one gunfight that a lot of the time will get you killed. So centering, come in, easy shots. Centering, easy shots, right? You don't have to worry about it. And the thing that a lot of players will do here is when they tether their movement too, you don't have to be looking down at things to loot them. You just have to be in the general space to open those chests, right? So players will stay center, loot, check, look at the loot again. You can grab it, pick it up, transfer back into center mass. You're good to go. Center mass, good to go. But when you're looking at the ammo that's on the ground, picking it back up, you don't need it. I can pick up this ammo when I don't have to be fully looking at the ground. This is another big one, obviously, where we have the window up here. A lot of players will look here and they're looking down, right? Which in some cases, get roasted. In some cases, a player will be at that height, but if they're further back, that's not ideal. You have to transition again too much in a gunfight where players might already be looking. So when you come out and look, you want to be looking again towards center mass. Even if you're a bit higher, you just have to calculate for that. It's easier to transition slowly right than it is looking all the way up, right? So get that done and out of the way. Same thing with rezzing. This is another, I'm not gonna lie, I haven't like run through this course, so I don't know all the exact scenarios, but this is another big one. A lot of players will look at their teammate when they're rezzing. Why though? Because if a player comes around this box here when I'm rezzing and I'm looking down here, got to go all the way over to transition again. Whereas if I'm rezzing and I'm looking up, if I'm pre-aiming an area where an enemy might be pushing me from, if you can hear footsteps, doors opening, whatever the case may be, or if you're getting comms from your teammates, you can res and be looking in that area so that when you pop up, you're good to go right away and you're already staring at that choke point. Basically, long story short here is you always want to be positioning your crosshair, whether you're anticipating a fight or not, in an area where you expect enemies to be. Now, is this a 100% way to win every single gunfight? No, and that's simply because players are unpredictable in certain cases. If I'm expecting players to jump out of this door here when I am rezzing, but there's actually a player up there, obviously that's going to be a problem, but you can't always anticipate that. So there are one-off situations like that that are going to be trouble, but when you're entering a room, chest level, if there's a player there, I'm good to go. If I'm looking down here, regardless of if I have to go over to the right, regardless if I'm centered right, that's more movement, that's more correction you have to do. It just makes every single gunfight harder. Same deal. We load out here, target. You guys see how I'm already right here, perfectly chest level when I come out of this door. Whereas if I'm grabbing loot off the ground here, I come out and I'm not at chest level. I'm looking at their feet. That's obviously going to be minuscule damage, or minimal damage rather. They're going to fry you. So centering is crucial. Even if you're not looking at heads constantly when you come out, you don't need to worry about having to transition from ground level or way too high down to a player. Being center mass is going to be the most convenient thing you can possibly do. We know there's going to be enemies here. Again, you push into a room, chest level, perfectly good to go. Now, I didn't expect him to move, but you get the gist of it, right? If I'm coming in ready for a loot here because I hear a chest and that guy's right there, I'm not looking at the right spot, he's going to have an easier kill on me. So this is something you just want to consistently force into your gameplay here. We know there's going to be guys out here, so we push out. Keep in center level as I'm transitioning from, cover to cover. Stay in the same level. Look at that. When I ADS, I'm already on his head there, right? He's headying that truck, which a lot of players will do in game. But because I'm not keeping my center or my sights down, they are centered, I'm already ready to fight. Again, head level at the guy headying in the back. It's honestly a super simple gameplay mechanic that so many players avoid because for whatever reason, they tunnel vision down. Obviously, I can still see all these guys here when my crosshair is down. I can still see this guy on the right? But when I look here, and I'm not looking down, I'm not centered, it just causes so much extra movement in a fight that's unnecessary. I'm gonna center it. I'm like right there. Obviously, I know where he's at because we saw him, but still, that's minimal movement there that makes a gunfight so much easier on your end. And because so many players have the problem with centering here, keep in mind, crosshair up, chest level, neck level, easy kill, right? It's a consistent thing you can force into your gameplay simply by looking up, and it's going to be the difference in whether you win or lose a gunfight consistently. For some players, obviously it's going to sound basic, but for players who feel like they are losing fights where they just don't feel like they have time to react, a lot of the time their centering is to blame because they're not looking at the right positions. They're not ready for gunfights because of their crosshair placement. It's such a simple thing you can force into your gameplay. You do it for a night of playing. You hop on whatever map you're playing, 2 or 3 hours of gameplay. You focus on keeping your sights in one particular area. You have to look down to loot something. You're right back up center. You're not continuously hovering around the ground for more loot after you grab something. You're not consistently looking at a dead player's loot that's on the ground. You're looting back up, because anytime anybody pushes, you want to have your sights as ready as possible. You're not going to always be on target just because you're centering, but it's going to be way less effort to correct there when you are centered, ready to go in a fight than if you were not. So biggest thing I can say for gunfights right now, especially with the skill gap in Warzone where it's a no recoil meta, everything's a laser gun, the first shots and the powerful shots to the chest, neck, and head are the ones that matter the most. And centering correctly and frequently and being ready for those gunfights is going to lead to you winning more and more and more. So hopefully this helped you guys out. If it did, let me know by dropping a like on it. And if you're new here, feel free to hit that sub button and turn on those post notifications. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, take it easy. Have an awesome rest of your day. And I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.